Welcome back to the Richard Sherman podcast. And what a week. All these games, the San Francisco 49ers beat the New Orleans Saints. The Seattle Seahawks go on the road and beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. Pick Aaron Rodgers off twice. Could have been three. Darion Kendrick, you caught the second one, but you could have had two on the day. Your Detroit Lions punish Ben Johnson in the Bears. And Daboll, he let Russ cook, Mitchell. He let him cook. And they still weren't able to beat the Dallas Cowboys. But we got to start with the San Francisco 49ers first, Mitchell, even though I know you're feeling good.
Richard, I am feeling good. I was at Ford Field today, fired up with the rest of them. Also nervous, very nervous going into the game, but we can get back to that later. Let's talk about your Niners, because I see you're wearing that Niners red cap. They're going on the road to New Orleans against the Saints. Not many people are thinking much about the Saints, but the reality is the 49ers have a lot of adversity to deal with early in this season. Without their quarterback, Brock Purdy, without his biggest asset, George Kittle. They go on the road with Mac Jones, a guy I know Kyle Shanahan wanted in that draft. I mean, we can get to that in a little bit. Trey Lance, maybe that wasn't the pick, but Mac Jones showed out today. Who? Mac Jones.
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones. Mac Jones was acting a fool out there. He looked good. 279, 3 touchdowns. What were your impressions, Richard? I know, the expectations were they would go on the road, get this win against a lowly Saints team, but the reality is you got to play the game, and it was a hard-fought game. Niners come out with the win, go 2-0 on the season. Big win for them. Your thoughts, Rich?
Well, they're 2-0, 2 road games, 2 road victories. You love to start the season off like that. Obviously, there were so many question marks coming into this game. Trent Williams and his health, his knee injury, he tested it out before the game. He gave it a go. You're already missing George Kittle. You're already missing Brock Purdy. Oh, my God, what are we going to do? And people say, it's just the Saints. This is an NFL team. They're desperate. They're at home. This is one they can usually steal. And at a point in this game, I thought they had a chance. But, of course, Mac Jones plays a great game, delivers a number of passes, shows chemistry with Kendrick Bourne, shows a chemistry with Jawan Jennings, one of his best games, 5 catches for 89 yards and a touchdown. Usually when Jawan has a great game, they somehow find a way to lose, but not this time. Mac Jones, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Christian McCaffrey obviously continues to do what he does, 13 carries, 55 yards, 6 catches, 52 yards and the touchdown. On the defensive side of the ball, All-Pro Fred Warner gets another forced fumble on an incredible play where Kamara was trying to hold it on to his head and couldn't secure the ball. Fred pokes it out. Huge play. Sacks from Nicholas John Bosa. Up and stout. The rookie gets him one. And to close the game out, Bryce Huff, sack, forced fumble. What a great game for this defense. And again, it just shows how important Robert Saleh is to this 49ers defense, to Kyle Shanahan and his staff. The 49ers, the faithful's favorite son, Robert Saleh, dialing it up when they had to have it. Obviously, the last drive by the Saints helped with some controversial penalties. I didn't think that was illegal contact by Upton Stout, but it helped them stay in the ball game. But it wasn't enough to stop the 49ers. But another storyline, Mitchell, in this game, they got rid of Jake Moody, and everybody screams from the top of the mountain, Richard, how great that is.
Richard, do you think that you had anything to do with that? Just a quick question. I mean, because we were talking about it a bit last podcast about it was time for the Jake Moody experiment to end. Do you think you had anything to do with that, my friend?
Well, I don't know if Kyle Shanahan or John Lynch watched the Richard Sherman podcast, but if they did, I would think they would heed my words. But, they also do a great job without doing anything I say. But maybe I had a little bit of say in that, or a little bit of influence. I don't have any say. Let's not go there. But a little bit of influence on what they did. But it was time. And I think Kyle Shanahan was up to here with Jake Moody. He had lost his confidence. He didn't think that he would get it back. They brought in Eddie Pinheiro, and guess what, Mitchell? He misses the first PAT of the game. And I know the faithful were sitting there like, come the F on. There is no way. But of course, he goes on to make his next 2 field goals, a 44-yarder and a 46-yarder, which end up being critical in this ball game because they win by 5 points. He gives them 6 points with those 2 field goals. That's what you needed. That's what you needed to see. That's a confidence builder for him, confidence builder for the team. 2 NFC road wins are huge for the San Francisco 49ers. And I think the fans and everybody are feeling a lot more confident in Mac Jones and being able to weather the storm until Brock Purdy comes back. There were other things that happened during the week. You saw some things from Brandon Ayuk, some clips of him running and sprinting. He looked really good. He looked really fast. So that's another promising sign. If you're the San Francisco 49ers fan base, you got to be feeling good. You got to appreciate the 2-0 start through all the adversity. Kyle Shanahan and this offense put up 26 points. And again, Robert Saleh and this defense stand up tall when they needed to have it, close the game out. I feel really good this week, Mitchell. I think they're going to be prepared next week at home for the Arizona Cardinals, who are playing right now. But Mitchell, I feel great about that game. And another game I feel great about.
Switch the cap.
Switch the cap because the Seattle Seahawks went on the road and beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, just showing a great command on that defense. Everybody flying around, even without one of their best players, Devin Witherspoon. They had 2 interceptions on the game. Kobe Bryant gets them 1. Darion Kendrick gets him 1. It should have been 2. And JSN dominates. JSN looked great again. Sam Darnold had an up and down game. Some unfortunate plays, threw a bad interception to Jalen Ramsey on the underthrow to Cooper Kupp. Great play by Ramsey. But he also attacked Ramsey throughout the game with JSN, Torrey Horton on the first touchdown of the game. First touchdown for the rookie, which was a great pass from Sam Darnold. A weird special teams play in the game. George Halani recovers a kickoff in the end zone after the Steelers returner just lets it bounce in the end zone and leaves it. I couldn't believe it, but that's college. He was a rookie, and those are college rules. And
Will
you
he
get
have
a little vexed.
Will he have a job on Monday, Richard?
The chances of that are very low, but you know what? I never root for somebody not to have a job, but that's tough. That's a tough way to give up some points in the National Football League, and it's such an easy thing to correct, but those are college rules, and that's the small things that are different between the NFL and college. In college, that would have been a dead ball. You don't have to worry about it. In the NFL, it's still live. It's still a live ball, and you got to go in there and recover it and down it to get the touch back. But he didn't, and it helped the Seattle Seahawks. Put 7 points on the board. Those 2 first-half interceptions that Sam Darnold threw, hey, you got to live with it sometimes. He was able to rebound from those. Kenneth Walker III, your boy K9, Michigan State, put on an absolute show.
He did. And you know what? I think he needed this, man. I mean, a lot of folks, Zach Charbonnet was coming on last week, and I think between the 2 of those guys, it can be a dynamic 1-2 punch. But when Kenneth Walker gets rolling like he did today, 13 rushes for 105 and a touchdown, Seattle, they could have easily won last week. They got to be feeling really, really good going on the road, stealing with this one from the Steelers. And like you said, Richard, the first half did not look so bright for them, and they bounced back. Sam Darnold looks like he's a good fit in Seattle. Like I would assume the fan base, is getting more comfortable with him under center now and seeing what this front office saw in him. You got to love the transition from Geno Smith to Sam Darnold. I think this gives this team longevity. I think this gives this team a competitive nature in this division. Jackson, Smith, and Jigba, Richard, back-to-back big games. A lot of catches over these last 2 games. Obviously they get rid of DK. DK caught a ball in that end zone. He got a touchdown against his former team. I'm sure that felt really good. But you got to see what this front office sees. They saw JSN. They said, hey, we're not going to pay DK what he wants. We're going to go, trade him, get these picks. And it looks like it's paying off. And these are wise moves from the Seattle Seahawks management team. You got to love what you're seeing in Seattle right now, Richard. Let's not undersell this win on the road against Pittsburgh and Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is looking a bit like his old self, and especially in that first half, he looked good. But to go on the road and to win this game. This is huge for Seattle to be able to be 1-1 after 2 games, man.
And a veteran defense that they were going to with a lot of star power to show that you had no fear of Jalen Ramsey, who's been arguably one of the best corners in the National Football League for over a decade. Sam Darnold throws for almost 300 yards, 295 yards, 2 touchdowns with the 2 interceptions. Jackson Smith-Njigba, another 100-yard game, 8 for 103. And then Cooper Kupp getting comfortable in this offense, 7 catches for 90 yards. Really solid game for him. Showed up in a lot of critical moments. Elijah Arroyo had a solid game. A.J. Barner gets his first touchdown of the season. I think he's underutilized in this offense. I think once they start to get him more involved up the seam and on the edges, I think this offense takes even another step. We talked about Kenneth Walker III. He and Charbonnet, are like a 1-2 punch. They split carries today with Charbonnet actually getting 2 more carries. He had 15 carries for only 10 yards, and K9 had 13 carries for 105. And I know throughout the offseason there was conversations because K9's been so banged up that some Seahawks fans thought, hey, Charbonnet's the guy, maybe K9's the second, maybe he's the Robin to the Batman. And I think today showed why the Seahawks and the rest of the league see K9 in such a upper tier of the running backs in the National Football League, because he's such a big play waiting to happen when there's nothing. When there's nothing there and it looks like the play stopped in the backfield or stopped at the line of scrimmage, he churns it out for 3-4 more yards. He finds a lane on those outside runs and those outside plays, those outside zones, those split zones. He's a physical runner who runs behind his pads, sometimes making bigger gains out of, it may be blocked for an 8-yard gain and he's gaining 25. And those plays are what helped this team establish their mentality and their mindset and their identity in this game. And I think that was a huge factor. DK Metcalf was looking for his revenge game. Unfortunately, he was not able to have that revenge game. Only had 3 catches for 20 yards, did have the touchdown reception, some physical plays throughout the game, getting into it with some of the corners. But overall, they contained him pretty well. But Josh Jobe, a name that Seahawks fans are somewhat familiar with. He was drafted to the Seattle Seahawks, but then had to go to the Philadelphia Eagles. And he came back a totally different player, rejuvenated. He's feisty. He's competitive. Every play that he's in, he's making an impact for the most part. He's covering well. He's tackling well, regardless of who he's against. And I think the stat sheet doesn't always show it. Obviously, he had a PBU in this game, but he is playing some really, really good football. Has been, honestly, in my opinion, the best corner on the field during the first 2 games of the season. He made plays in the first game, stop touchdowns, jamming up receivers. And in the next game, he's tackling well in the run game. He's just a quiet guy. Nobody's speaking about, what he's doing. But I see you, young fella. I see you, and you're balling. They're going to be even better when they get Devin Witherspoon back. Again, Julian Love, Kobe Bryant played a good game. We talked about Darion Kendrick and his interception. But I think this is great. The Seattle Seahawks are great. Jaron Reed, congratulations on another sack. You're hitting the Mike B. I see you, boy. I see you hitting the Mike Bennett, letting the hits, but he's only 2 pumps. He only got 2 pumps, Mitchell. He kept it at 2 pumps. He did not. Third gets you the penalty. Third one's the baby. But he only kept it at 2 pumps. That defensive line was ferocious again. Good to see Uchenna back at it. Byron Murphy getting involved. And I thought he played a really solid game, taking on double teams and freeing up other guys, freeing up Ernest Jones for a couple tackles last week against the San Francisco 49ers. And I thought he finally got to see the fruits of his labor this week. Got a sack, some tackles in the game, and really, really played a solid game. Again, his doesn't always show up on the stat sheet. He had 5 tackles, a sack and a half in a TFL, 3 quarterback hits. Give credit where it's due. This is a very, very deep defensive line, and he's eating. Jaron Reed got a sack. It's just fun to watch these guys play. They're flying around. Ernest Jones looked good. Therese Knight looked good again. They were first and second on the team in tackles with 10 and 8. I'm excited to see them continue to grow and continue to compete, but slow your roll. Everybody was out off of Sam Darnold after last week. Sam Darnold can play, and I think he showed it this week. even through the interceptions. And I look for him to continue to grow and continue to lead this team. I love what I'm seeing.
You got to love it. Before we leave this game, Richard, I know you've seen a number of interceptions that you've had, right? And some that you wish you would have had. Darion Kendrick had an interception today, but he had another one that hit him square in the face mask and bounced up and ended up incomplete. But like, what do you say to a guy like that? I mean, that's the ultimate boof, right? I mean, square in the head, boom. So that happens to you, that happens to somebody else. What do you say to pick him up on the sideline?
Hey, it happens. You know, we got off the field. You were in the right spot. When you're doing things right and you're doing your job at a high level, the ball's going to hit you in the face. Those were words Chris Richard gave to us every time, and literally that happened to him. So it says he's doing something right, but you don't allow that to discourage you. Now we're gonna chin you up and find you in the film room, but it also shows you're in the right spots and you're doing your job at a high level. And the ball found him again in the end zone in a critical moment. He made the play. So some would say he made up for it, but I'm sure he's going to be kicking himself later on down the line because that could have been a double dip.
We are excited to announce our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. You know the Hard Rock hotels and casinos, and now you can use the top-rated Hard Rock Bet sportsbook to place bets all NFL season long and beyond. Hard Rock Bet is the only legal sports book in the state of Florida and is also available in Arizona, Ohio, New Jersey, Indiana, Tennessee, Virginia, Illinois, and Colorado, with more states launching all the time. You can also play on Hard Rock Bet's online casino if you're in New Jersey. From here on out, Mitch and I will be using the Hard Rock Bet lines when we're talking about games. We'll also be doing some live shows and some meet and greets at the Hard Rock properties in Florida. As we gear up for the NFL season, sign up for Hard Rock Bet and make a $5 bet, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Head over to Hard Rock Bet, sign up, and make your first deposit today.
Let's talk about my Detroit Lions. I saw a lot of folks in the comment section saying that I look sad. I needed a hug. I did need a hug last week. I'll tell you what, I felt like a guy that was stood up on prom night, honestly. Like I was demoralized last week. And, you know, going into the Sunday and going to the game, going down to Ford Field, the energy was electric. But I'll be honest, everyone was nervous, you know, very nervous. Ben Johnson was coming in town. The Bears, you know, albeit coming off a loss to the Vikings, they looked really good in that first half. And you're wondering, oh, snap, are the Lions going to be 0-2? Are they going to be going on the road to Baltimore next week on Monday Night Football at 0-2, fresh off a loss against their former offensive coordinator and Ben Johnson? The Lions came out looking like the Detroit Lions of last year. And I mean, dude, they dominated. They looked like they belong in that conversation within Richard Sherman's top 5 of his power ranks, which I hope they are after this week. But I know they got some work to do. I mean, maybe against Baltimore next week can elevate them. And I'm not suggesting that they should be in your top 5, but they certainly should be in that honorable mention category. Richard, they dominated today. They start to finish. They come out, they score first possession. Then the Bears come down and score. And it looks like it's going to be a shootout. And then water found its level, and the Detroit Lions from every level, right? I mean, every question that they had last week, the offensive line looked a lot better. They were protecting Jared Goff. He was able to throw downfield, a lot more explosive plays. I mean, Jamison Williams only caught 2 passes, but they were both explosive. 2 catches for 108 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown all over the place, early and often. 9 catches for 115 and 3 touchdowns. The rookie, Isaac Tesla, massive one-handed catch down at the end of the half. And I mean, you got to love it, man. They targeted him. He made the play. It was not an easy catch by any means, down to the 1-yard line. And when you're at the game, I don't know if they showed this on the TV, but the Bears walked off the field. They thought the halftime had hit. They thought the half had expired. And fortunately for Detroit, they got brought back on the field, and Detroit put another one on their head. I mean, Detroit did not give up that gas pedal. They were all gas, no brakes, as your favorite Robert Tesla always said. Or I'm sorry, Robert Saleh. I'm on that Tesla train right now. Robert Saleh. Richard, this team looked really, 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 really good. And Jared Goff, 5 touchdowns. I mean, 334 yards. But then you get on the defense, right? I mean, in the first half, they did not get a whole lot of pressure on Caleb Williams. They were scoring, and DeAndre Swift was running the ball, but they were forcing turnovers. Big hit on DeAndre Swift caused the turnover. Then you see the errant throw to no one other than Kirby Joseph, interception. You got to love that. And then the second half, finally, they were able to get after Caleb Williams. Aiden Hutchinson get on in it. Brian Branch, Al-Quadin Muhammad, Marcus Davenport, who they have a lot of faith in. They brought him back instead of Zadarius Smith because why? He can set the edge. He control the run game. This team, you finally see the vision of what Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell had for this team coming into this season. The Detroit Lions look like they should have looked in week one. And that's kind of what scares me most is maybe the Green Bay Packers are just that good. They got that defense that we saw on Thursday night, Richard, that you saw firsthand that looked really darn good against Jayden Daniels and that Washington Commanders team. But before we talk about the Green Bay Packers, I want you to enlighten me a little bit about what you saw today. I mean, how much do you think this proved for the Detroit Lion fan base that Detroit is still that same team that they were last year?
Well, Mitchell, I love how you put that so eloquently.
Thank you.
Because it sounded like the Detroit fan base, including yourself, felt like Marshall Mathers in 8 Miles. Mitchell, and what I mean by that is your palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy, there's vomit on your sweater already. Mom's spaghetti, you're nervous. But on the surface, you look calm and ready to. But Mitchell, that's just, Michigan, Detroit. I know that's how you were feeling, and you should be feeling that way. You got your butts kicked last week up and down the field, and you look like you didn't belong on the same field as a division rival. You got to feel nervous. But what a way to calm the fan base down and say, RELAX, relax, chill out. We still got these guys. We're still one of them ones. Just a hiccup first week. We're figuring it out. We're learning some new things, adjusting to a new offensive coordinator, some changes on the interior offensive line that you got to get used to. You got to build some chemistry, Mitchell. You got to bring it together. And that's what they were doing. This week, they looked a lot better running the football. That's where they impose their will at. They run the football really well. Jahmyr Gibbs, 12 carries for 94 yards and a touchdown. Then David Montgomery, bang, Sonic and Knuckles, back at it again. 11 carries for 57 yards, and he touches pay dirt. Then you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, the ship steadier, right before the half. Seconds left before the half. Everybody thought after the Tesla one-handed catch, the clock had run out. Thank goodness it did not. And you know what they did? They went to Old Faithful, Amon-Ra St. Brown on that little comeback route in the end zone. Jared Goff with an incredible pass, and it just made him feel good going into the half. Made me feel good going into the half. And to show that this team continually competes at a high level. And then again, you said the pass rush woke up on the defensive side with all those guys getting a sack, Kirby Joseph getting an interception. But Terrion, I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you. You should have had 2 books today. One of them wasn't your fault, but the one, what we talked about. You got to catch the ball. You want to get over the water. You want to get to Disney World. You want them to talk about you as one of the best. You got to have it. You got to have it. Your boy Kirby Joseph had it. Branch is making crazy impact. You got to get in on the party. No question about it. But I think this was great for this Detroit Lions team, the fan base. Just their confidence going in, new offensive coordinator. Obviously, my guy David Shaw is also there. 5 touchdowns, no interceptions for Jared Goff. I'm feeling really good about this team. But now we got to go talk about that division rival, the Green Bay Packers, and the monster that Jerry helped create. Woo! I was there. Thursday night football, Lambeau, and they looked good, Mitchell. They looked like some ravenous wolves that hadn't eaten in 2 weeks, and there was steak on the quarterback's jersey. They were trying to get Jayden Daniels every which way they could in the secondary. My guy, Keyshawn Nixon, friend of the program, a kid I've known since he was knee-high to a duck, went out there, 5 PBUs, lockdown defense, strapping. Javon Bullard had a great game, the Georgia product. all over the field. They use him in so many different ways. Xavier McKinney, we talked about it, could have had him another book, friend of the program. And then all the rest of them. Edgerrin Cooper looks like a Pro Bowler. Rashawn Gary all over the place. Lucas Van Ness, attacking style defense. And then the guy who's pulling the strings, Jeff Hafley. I got to talk to him for an hour and a half before the game, Mitchell. They haven't even had a chance to really install things with Micah Parsons yet, because they had 1 week with him just adjusting to getting to Green Bay. Then they had a short week for a Thursday night game. So they haven't even had real practices with the guy. And you see the impact he's making, Mitchell. Wait until tonight. Oh, when you will be here on your own. Mitchell, when they got time to install and put in some games and put in some real packages, some things that play to Micah Parsons' strengths, along with all these other crazy edge rushers they have. Woo! And I didn't even talk about Quay Walker. And they feel good about Nate Haas. Mitchell, they think this defense can be one of those ones. But on the offensive side, they got a little banged up. They lost Jayden Reed, their leading receiver from a year ago, to a collarbone injury. Hopefully he heals up quickly and can get back. That was a tough loss, but it left room for Kraft to have the best game of his career. Romeo Doubs continues to step up in a big way for them. And then Josh Jacobs, behind Josh Jacobs. And Josh Jacobs they trust in Green Bay. Mitchell, this is...
Richard, I know you're a big hat guy, but I'm surprised you haven't put on a cheese head right now with the way you've been talking about this team. It sounds like you're a fan, man. And I know this Green Bay Packer fan base doesn't necessarily love Richard Sherman. You put them to bed way too often throughout your playing days. But the way you talk about him right now, I mean, you're still instilling fear in me, but we're going to see him on Thursday, the old Thanksgiving Day football game here in Detroit. We'll see if Detroit can't knock them off that high pedestal that you just put them on, because you're right. I mean, let's be real. They look very, very good. And the only thing that's going to hold them back potentially might be the offense, but the offense also looks very dynamic. That defense looks like a Super Bowl caliber defense. There is no question about that.
No question about that. Another team that looked like they were down and out in week 1 and showed some life in week 2 were the New York Giants.
Wow.
Dabo. I was questioning when they were going to go to Jackson Dart. I said, Russ didn't show it in that game. He wouldn't push the ball down the field, 17-37, but boy, did he shut me up. Mitchell, he shut up everybody. What they say, shut the haters up? He shut the haters up. He went 30 of 41, 450 yards, 3 touchdowns, and that one interception at the end of the game that gave Dallas a chance to win the game in overtime. But before then, I mean, the only reason they had a chance was because of Russell Wilson. With under a minute to go, he drives down the field, throws a bomb dime to Malik Neighbors, double teamed for a touchdown. Malik Neighbors 9 catch for 167 yards and 2 touchdowns on the game. He was very frustrated last week. He wasn't frustrated this week. He loved everything he saw. He caught those passes, a crazy jumping, vertical catch with the first touchdown, and then over the shoulder dime from Russell Wilson for the second touchdown to put him ahead in overtime. Of course, Dallas goes down the field and sets Aubrey up for a 64-yard game win. Mitchell, the way they set that up, like it was only a 40-yarder or something. Right. Like it was crazy the way they set that up. Wan'Dale Robinson had a great game. There were so many conversations last week, rightfully so, about do the Giants have enough weapons?
They do.
Clearly they did. I think 450 yards is a career high for Russell Wilson in year 14. Had a career high 450 yards. Mitchell, he was acting unusual and playing a really good game. I thought this would show the Giants what they are capable of. Kayvon Thibodeau with a sack, Brian Burns with a sack, Elijah Garcia with a sack, and they were putting a lot of pressure on Dak Prescott, making him uncomfortable throughout the game. I thought they had some bonehead penalties that held them back. They could have really blown this game open early on, but they just kept making mistakes, and I know that freaking killed Brian Daboll, and I know he's going to talk about it after the game. Drew Phillips with an interception. I thought he played one of his best games as a pro. Another PBU, great tackles in overtime to limit the gains that could have been really big plays. But that interception in overtime, it just was so deflating for this team because they had played so well. Russ had played so well down the stretch, giving them a chance to win this game. And I know the fan base was finally standing up, appreciating, enjoying this. They hadn't played well versus the Dallas Cowboys in a while, and they were sitting there, had them on the ropes, and they let them off the hook. That was going to be a devastating loss for Dallas Cowboys. Instead, they win the game by 3 points on a Aubrey field goal. But wow. Hey, what a difference a week makes.
We talked about it last week, and we said, hey, maybe it's time to give Jameis Winston a shot because at least he's going to give these playmakers a shot. And Russell Wilson went out there and gave his best Jameis Winston impression. You saw the great moments of it, and they were all before overtime. And like you said, that overtime pick was a huge head scratcher, but you understand what he was trying to do. I mean, he had been doing that all game, and Malik Neighbors, he's got to be happy knowing that he's going to get the ball, and you see the potential in him. I mean, Richard, he's going to break the record. Let's be real. The most catches in the first 20 games of a season. I mean, he's not far behind Odell, and he's still got 3 games to go. So they got to love what they're seeing in New York, and New York's finally got an ingredient to make this team competitive, and that's the defensive line. You saw it with their defensive ends applying pressure to Dak, making his life super uncomfortable. But shout out to the Cowboys because this is a game they easily could have and probably should have lost. And they come back and ultimately win it. And they finally got a bruiser in the middle. They haven't had somebody like this since DeMarco Murray and Ezekiel Elliott. And they need a running back. They need a running game. And Javonte Williams has provided them some life. Not 18 rushes for 97 yards and a touchdown. You got to love to see that with Dallas. Richard, this was a heck of a game, a thrilling game, probably the best game of week 1.
This would have been even more devastating just because of all the offseason distractions, all the Jerry Jones. We've gotten so much better. Micah Parsons, like, I wanted to win a Super Bowl before, yada, yada, yada. And all he's done is made the Green Bay Packers a Super Bowl contender and made the Dallas Cowboys a worse team. And this was a great case where you could see that. You could see the lack of pass rush. The time Russell Wilson had, he got sacked 3 times in the game, but throwing for 450 yards, I don't think a Giants quarterback has thrown for 450 yards on the Dallas Cowboys in a while. Eberflus, who's been a really solid defensive coordinator in the National Football League, had just a rough outing overall in terms of stopping this New York Giants offense, who hadn't been world beaters before this. They to the tune of 506 yards on the day. So I think as the season progresses, we're going to see how bad of a move this was for the Dallas Cowboys and how much better they made the Green Bay Packers. And again, you look at the end of the season, you're going to say, wow, the Green Bay Packers, it's going to be poetic because the Green Bay Packers are going to have to play the Dallas Cowboys if they make the playoffs in a wild card round in Lambeau. And then they're going to have to see firsthand. I mean, they'll get to see them in a couple weeks, and that'll be poetic, but they'll get to see them in Lambeau in the playoffs when it really matters. And if the Green Bay Packers send the Dallas Cowboys home with Micah Parsons just wrecking shop along with the rest of this talented defense, Jerry, this offseason, Jerry, the things I'm going to have to say.
Richard,
I don't want to say it.
When you were in Lambeau on Thursday night, did you join in on the thank you, Jerry chants? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, Mitchell, I may have said 1 or 2 thank you, Jerry. You know what I mean? No. I mean, thank you. Mitchell, it was catchy. It was catchy. Now we got to talk about the Super Bowl rematch between the Philadelphia Eagles and Kansas City Chiefs. This Kansas City Chiefs-Philadelphia Eagles game was a defensive battle, and neither quarterback threw for over 200 yards. Saquon was kept under 100 yards, but still made enough big plays, and the Philadelphia Eagles made enough big plays to win the ball game. A very uncharacteristic interception late in the red zone. Deep in the red zone for the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes targeting Travis Kelce, tried to catch him right on the break, tipped up in the air, intercepted. That ended up being the backbreaker, the play that really broke this game open for the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, they keep finding a way. Their defense continues to dominate. It dominated stopping the run and holding Patrick Mahomes in check. Obviously, he hit Thornton on a long game for the last touchdown of the game to make it 17-20. Had him earlier in that drive and just missed him. You could see a lot of frustration from Travis Kelce throughout the game. Even on a Patrick Mahomes touchdown run, you could see him appearing to say, I'm tired of this ish. And it could be a lot of things he's tired of, but usually after a touchdown, drive, guys aren't frustrated and throwing their helmets. But, it's just a frustrating time. They're 0-2, coming off a Super Bowl loss. This is a team that has high expectations, and by no means, again, do I think they are out of it, or do I think this is a curtain call for this team. They've lost and had two very tough games. The Chargers looks like a team that can be competitive this year and maybe the class of that division. And then you're talking about the Super Bowl champs and the Philadelphia Eagles, and they found a way. Jalen Hurts threw for 101 yards, 15 to 22, no touchdowns, no interceptions, didn't make any mistakes, did enough, multiple tush pushes to get him first downs, and a tush push to get him a touchdown. But I'm sure there's going to be some conversation about him and his lack of production. But at the end of the day, he's winning. He's winning. And the Philadelphia Eagles are 2-0. A Super Bowl rematch. They feel good. They're healthy. A.J. Brown, again, a game that he didn't do a ton. Devontae Smith had a few big grabs, but I don't know. I think obviously they're leaning on the defense this year, and it looks like the defense is doing enough. That pass rush, that defensive line is still ferocious. They're figuring it out in the back end. They're playing some tight coverage. People are going to look at that play to Thornton and try to figure out how to push the ball down the field and how they manipulated this defense, this Vic Fangio defense, the way the Kansas City Chiefs did. That's going to be something that I'm going to keep an eye on throughout the season. But at the end of the day, this is a huge win for the Philadelphia Eagles, 2-0 in that division, and they continue to find a way. And for the Kansas City Chiefs, they got to figure it out. 0-2, you can't fall to 0-3. 0-3, you start to talk about not making the playoffs and crazy things like that. This division isn't what it used to be. It's not a cakewalk like it used to be. These teams, I think the Chargers are a good team. The Denver Broncos are really competitive, lost a tough game today to the Indianapolis Colts. And then you got the Raiders and Pete Carroll and what they're going to do. I think it's going to be dogfights throughout the game. So it's going to be a challenge for the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going to obviously have to get healthy, come together. They get Rashee Rice back after 6 games, but they got to make it there, Mitchell.
I'm with you, Richard. Honestly, I think you're underselling this. This is a bigger deal than I think you're making it out to be. This is, in reality, 3 losses in a row for the Chiefs, right? I mean, they lost to the Eagles in the Super Bowl, and then they go 0-2 to start the season. This is territory they're not used to being in, all right? And the schedule is, they're going out on the road to play the Giants. And I know it's the lowly Giants, but we saw what they did today. They looked very tough on the road against the Cowboys. And then they're going to be playing the Baltimore Ravens. So this is absolute must-win territory for this Kansas City Chiefs team. And you look at it, and I think the drop pass by Travis Kelce at the end zone pretty much exemplified this game. I mean, they had it in their hands. They had an opportunity to win, and they ultimately didn't. I mean, that pass to Travis Kelce would have been a touchdown, drop pass, interception, return the other way. Fortunately, the tackle, was able to make a huge play to prevent a touchdown on that return. But the Philadelphia Eagles, to me, played not to lose, and they got away with a win. A very conservative style of football. The offense is doing what they need to do to win, but when are they going to let the passing game take over and allow this team to grow a little bit more? I haven't been overly impressed with the Eagles' style of play the first 2 games. But they've won both games, and I guess that's enough. But as far as the Chiefs go, I mean, Richard, I think you kind of undersold it a bit there. What is your panic meter if you were a Kansas City Chiefs fan on a scale of 1 to 10?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd be at a 6 because there is cause for concern with the frustration of Travis Kelce, the lack of big-time production for Patrick Mahomes, the kind of uncharacteristic issues that they're having with the run game. Even defensively, there were some uncharacteristic plays. Chris Jones lost contain in the first game where he took an inside move and they lost contain and Herbert was able to get the first down, and you could see he and Drew Tranquill getting into a altercation after that game. But at the end of the day, this is a team that's been in a Super Bowl 5 of the last 6 years, and you have to give them credit for that. So I'm not going to be too panicked because they've been here, done that. Even if they go in as the 7th seed, they're a very dangerous team. So again, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Spags, you got to continue to trust in them and believe they're going to get this thing figured out. On the other side, again, winning is winning. The Philadelphia Eagles keep finding a way to win, and that's what this league is about. I remember a year the Kansas City Chiefs just kept finding a way to win. It was like, hey, it wasn't pretty. They were down big in some of these games, and they would find a way to win. They end up winning the Super Bowl that year. So, again, I'm not going to criticize the team about how they're winning football games in the National Football League, especially against the team they just faced in the Super Bowl. These teams, when you have that much time to prepare for another team, you begin to become really familiar with them. When you prepare for a Super Bowl opponent, and they've done it 2 of the last 3 years, they've faced the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl, you almost know them as good as you know a division opponent because you're studying every tendency, you know your opponent and your matchups that well. So it's almost like a division game. So I'm kind of treating it like a division game. I knew it would be a slugfest. Did I think the Eagles would try to showcase A.J. Brown a little more? Yes, but you got to give Trent McDuffie some credit. He was strapping. He continues to show why he's one of the best corners in the National Football League. But I expected more points, and we'll see how it goes moving forward. The Philadelphia Eagles have the L.A. Rams and Matt Stafford next week, and that'll be a good dogfight for them. That'll be another litmus test, another barometer. But the way this defensive line and his defense is playing, I don't know. They're tough outfit.
No question about it. Richard, let's talk about these Indianapolis Colts. They're 2-0. They take down the Denver Broncos at home, and they've looked impressive. And I think you might have a new favorite in the quarterback room. I mean, what in the world is happening in Indianapolis? Daniel Jones takes over for the second week in a row, puts together a dominant performance, thrown for over 300 yards. What do you make of this?
Well, I don't even know. I don't even know who this is, Mitchell. I don't know who this is because this isn't Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones was playing for the Giants. That was a whole different player. This guy playing for the Colts, this is Indiana Jones, Mitchell, and he continues to make plays, 316 yards passing. He was distributing the ball to everyone, really just commanding this offense, keeping steady in the ship. And then Jonathan Taylor, 165 yards rushing. He rushed for more than the entire Denver Broncos offense. You got to give them a lot of credit. Shane Steichen is putting them in winning positions, winning plays, and there was a controversial ending to this game. There was. It appeared like the Broncos won this game. The Indianapolis Colts kicked the field goal, missed, and an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty gave them another chance. They make the kick, they win the ball game, they start the season 2-0, and they look legitimate. The Denver Broncos came into this season with high expectations, high hopes, and they have battled through. They could easily be 0-2. I thought the Tennessee Titans gave them all they could handle. Their defense stepped up in a big way, but their defense had a hard time with this Indianapolis Colts offense, both on the ground and through the air. This is a defense that's been incredibly stingy in the past. They were the best defense in football last year, them and the Philadelphia Eagles, and they are showing just a little bit of regression. You got to remember, everybody studies you every year. They study your strengths, your weaknesses, and try to figure out ways to beat you. And they have lived in man coverage, man-to-man coverage. And the Indianapolis Colts continue to run crossing routes, putting Pittman and Pierce and Tyler Warren in position that they can catch the ball and run. And then you had Jonathan Taylor. He was also effective in the receiving game. He had a 43-yard gain. He had a touchdown receiving as well. And credit, he looks like his old self. So you got to think the Indianapolis Colts in this division that's considered a weak division, with the Texans appearing to potentially have regressed with C.J. Stroud, and obviously their defense is balling, but they lost to the Rams last week. So the Colts coming out to a 2-0 start, it's a team to watch, and it's really a testament that a quarterback in the right system. We're repeatedly getting these examples of the quarterback in a right system with a coach who knows what he's doing and takes the time to develop and takes the time to play to their strengths, can really change the career trajectory of a player in a tremendous way. And I'm happy to see that for Daniel Jones, and I'm happy to see it for Sam Darnold and Mac Jones today. You know, Mac Jones. You talk about another guy who's kind of thrown into the QB abyss. had a solid game today, 3 touchdowns in a game against the New Orleans Saints. So I'm happy to see that, excited to see it. Another team in the NFC West that looks like they're having a fantastic start to the season, albeit they played the New Orleans Saints and the Carolina Panthers, and Carolina made an incredible run at the end of this game, but it's the Arizona Cardinals, 2-0 to start the season. Kyler Murray's playing some solid football. He had a touchdown pass and an interception today. They're playing some really solid defense. My guy, Calais Campbell, with 2 sacks today. Come on now, Old Faithful. Back in the Arizona Cardinal, red, feeling good, looking good, productive, and did a great job closing that game out for him. I had to give my boy a shout out because he's still doing the same thing he's been doing for the last decade and a half, and that's balling, and you love to see it. As always, we appreciate you guys joining us. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me and my guy Mitchell, and we sure do appreciate that. Hit that sub button if you're new.